there is a great chance that HLTV Awards 2027 for the prior year, the player of the year will be m0NESY.
Right, we're back for Hot Take Point Made. And as you will find out later in this episode, if you replied to a certain social media post, you might even be able to influence this show in a way that's actually different, even to past ones, not just hot takes. But we will get to some of that later. Right, I didn't actually ask before, but who wants to offer the first hot take to start the show with?
Maui.
I could do it. I could do it.
Right, let's go.
It's a hot take. It's a hot take. Let's make that entirely clear.
If you do your job, they all are in theory, you know. This, by the way, you're saying that now in case they clip it. If they clip it, they're going to take that part out, bro. They're just going to do that, aren't they? Yeah.
Okay, so I've been thinking about the #1 in the world race, which is actually beginning to finally pick up some steam in 2026, because it kind of felt like for the first 3 months, roughly, it was sort of a 2-horse race between ZywOo and donk. ZywOo started really pulling away because he won all of those MVPs, because Vitality were winning all of those tournaments. Donk was right behind him because the sheer raw output was just so exceptional, and still is to this day. I mean, it might be the greatest single statistically outputting player we've ever seen. But that's not how HLTV gives out world #1s. And I think that this isn't necessarily mine, but I actually believe there is a great chance that come January 10th, HLTV Awards 2027 for the prior year, the player of the year, according to HLTV, will be m0NESY. I think that there's actually an incredibly solid chance that this happens, given the way that Falcons is now picking up steam. And I don't think that there's any guarantee that Vitality are necessarily coming back to the same level of form, because I know that you made the take, Thorin, about Apex is going to be better as a dad. I don't know if m0NESY is going to be better as a father of 2. I think there might be a limit to it after he gets the initial dad buff, because he's been on a little bit of a downtrended form. Now he's having a second kid coming along too. I don't know if he's regaining that kind of form. I don't know if everybody on the I mean, I also think that certain players on Vitality, I think the honeymoon was great for them. I think that they had a lot to prove for themselves. I'm just feeling like they're going to cool off. That's more of a vibe thing. But then also on the spirit side for donk and them actually winning tournaments, the problem is obviously that they still are finding their groove in a sense. They're still like Tanir. He looked great when Sotfik was behind him. When there was no coach behind him, he looked much more lost at Cologne. I still think Magix has a ways to go as an in-game leader to catch up to Apex, let alone Kerrigan. And so I feel like because Falcons are going to find more success in the upcoming season, and no, that is how I'm framing this, okay? Because in a player of the year, you'd want it to just be a contest of who's the best player in the world, which we may still differ with HLTV on at the end of the year. But I think that m0NESY has a great opportunity now to actually win the player of the year, given the way that HLTV calculates these things.
Well, I do have one word for this take.
Insane.
Meds.
Okay.
Meds.
Okay, my bad.
Meds.
Preempted it.
What do you? It's not focusing, but what are these?
Xanax.
Why are you showing?
That says Xanax.
Xanax, yes, right here. Meds.
Why are you
Meds.
taking?
And who knows? Don't ask. He's just going to incriminate himself. I know.
It's meds for you, right there.
Okay.
Like to say the m0NESY next to donk this year and next to ZywOo and the season that Vitality had in the first part of the year, to say that m0NESY is going to be #1 at the end of the year, January 10th by HLTV. Did you say HLTV or you? Like HLTV, right?
HLTV.
Like it's going to be, yeah.
HLTV. I've thought that donk is the best player in the world for quite some time now, just on a personal level. So yes, HLTV's list.
I'm going to say 0 chance. I'm going to say 0 chance, simply because that requires certain things to happen, and that requires Vitality not to be #1 and Spirit not to be #1, which is for you. You said like Falcons are picking up steam and shit. Like they won the major. We already analyzed it, how they won it, and what happened and what didn't happen, and what kind of magical things appeared in those playoffs and all these things. That is the assumption that these things are going to happen. When it comes to m0NESY and the double kid theory, do you know how much money these guys make? And that's gonna be stacking nannies on top of nannies on top of fucking nannies. That is like to
On top of Louis bags.
I know. It's the way I know he doesn't even know what he's accidentally referencing, Maui, but it makes it more epic, doesn't it? I know. Like, keep going, Kassad. This boomer shit is incredible in it. I know.
The thing is, like, they can afford the quality care for the kid, and and I understand what you're trying to say. The father needs to be there and blah 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 whatever. But having 2 kids myself, I kind of know something about it at least. And the thing is, like, I don't think his form can drop, but it's not gonna be because he's not the one who had birth. Like, he's not the one who was carrying the child. So his form can drop because of him, not because of the kid. Like, it's not like he's like having sleepless nights in Birmingham or where the fuck he is from, right? And then he's waking up all changing shitty diapers and stuff. No, he's not doing that. I'm guaranteeing you he's not doing that. So at least not in the practice days, right? And on top of the fact they're going into boot camps, that he's gonna be going there, and having a stable home can only help him. But if he doesn't, improve the quality of his life, he doesn't stack nannies on top of nannies, he's gonna be fucking miserable. And that I can agree with you. Then I can agree with you that his form can drop, and then he's gonna not be the same player. But you have the rest of the team there. You have a superstar named ZywOo. You have Robs, another superstar. You have arguably the best IGL, and or the second, but depending how you look at it. And you have Flames, who has been on top of his game for quite some time. So the fact they didn't win the major is simply because they lost to Falcons in a very narrow game. How many times, if you have a narrow game against Falcons in the future, if you are Vitality, how many of those are you going to win and lose? Surely it evens out, it balances out a little bit, right? So with all that saying, you have Navi and you have Spirit, and you have maybe some of the dark horses and underdogs that can defeat all of these top teams, including Falcons, right? So that means that the list of the trophies for Falcons is going to be shorter than you think, which means the placements are going to be worse than, number 1, which means that not going to be any MVPs for m0NESY, which also means he's not going to be the number 1. On top of that, when they actually win, if they win all these events that you are kind of hyping them up to win, it means that m0NESY needs to be the MVP. He needs to be the best player next to Kyosuke, possibly Nico, and whatnot, right? So there is a lot of big ifs there, and I think it's a hot take. I agree. I think it's a hot take, and it fits the show. But I think Mets.
My problem with this take is you actually fucked it up by at the end saying that thing of like, there's a great chance. There isn't a great chance is what makes it a hot take. What makes it a really hot take is that I actually disagree. I actually think it's almost logistically impossible for m0NESY to be number 1 now, because if you actually look at it, this is the weirdest thing. People genuinely have never just like listened to HLTV when they say the criteria. Like, one of the reasons, here's what I explained myself on that HLTV Come Here show when I went on it, is everything they do is connected, guys. Like, even though I sort of disagree with this, because essentially it's like if I came up with a thing and then I based something else off that thing, and at the end I pretend I didn't come up with it, and I went, well, look at all the things that are stacked up. It's like, but you decide all that. Like, here's the thing you have to realize. One of the reasons why they don't just do MVP, they do EVP, is for exactly this reason. You don't have to be the MVP of the tournament. Like, one thing I appreciate about HLTV actually is they are smart enough to know that, like at the Budapest Major, you can have 2 players who are basically the MVP. You just decide to pick one of them, but then it's not like Rops wasn't insane at that event. Like, that should count as an MVP for him almost, right? So the point of EVP is also to sort of celebrate that sort of a player who didn't win the MVP, but still, it's why, if you remember, they have a third category, like All-Star, which is like even a bit looser, right? So one of the things is, if you look at it in the year, it is going to be really, really, really hard to ever get number 1 if ZywOo not only has more MVPs, but then he has more EVPs, and then he has more and then he has better stats as well. Like, the problem is you've almost got to overcome, if not all of them, like 2 out of the 3. And I can tell you, I looked it up while you were talking. Last year, ZywOo had 8 MVPs and Donk only had 4. So he had half as many MVPs. I do think that will play a factor in how they decide these things. So the problem at the moment is m0NESY basically has to have not only almost a perfect season, I looked it up. ZywOo has won 4 MVPs this season, and m0NESY has 1. And then on top of that, like, m0NESY has some EVPs, but for example, there was only 2 people who got EVP at Blast Bounty, the one that came second. He didn't get that. That was actually Nico Nico and someone else, like probably Nota, whoever the fuck, some Russian player. So basically, he didn't even get one there. So here's the problem, as always. It's the same problem I told everyone last year of why I actually already knew. Vitality did even worse, I thought, second season, but I knew Donk could never be number one. And the reason why is obvious, because logically, like happened last season, you're still going to have a bunch of times, even if Vitality doesn't win a single tournament, surely they're going to be in a whole bunch of semis though, right? And if they're in a bunch of semis, they've got to get at least a few finals, right? If they make any finals, unless it's literally donk or m0NESY against ZywOo, one thing you got to give ZywOo credit for, he's pretty fucking good at farming stats to come second and get an MVP. He's pretty good at it, right? So again, I think you'd almost have to not only have like Falcons win all the events, they also have to like almost like directly beat ZywOo, and then you need m0NESY also to go crazy. And here's one of the other problems. m0NESY is capable of like the stats that ZywOo puts up, but I actually think if you only care purely about stats, I actually think ZywOo and Donk are even above Simple for that, mate. Like, Simple style of play made it almost impossible to really farms like that. These guys can just put up the craziest numbers you've ever seen every tournament, it feels like. So I just think it's quite unlikely. I do think it's a very good hot take, though, because obviously this hot take is more the idea, like maybe Vitality's on a downturn, maybe Falcons takes over, maybe this is their little season in the end, which would make at least... The reason it's a good hot take is obviously people would expect if you say anyone than ZywOo, you're just going to say Donk, aren't you? So the idea you did a third person and it's one that we just saw own the world and it's vaguely plausible. The difference is, though, I don't know why you added in like there's a good chance. There's not a very good chance. Like, what makes your take good is that there's almost no chance. But in theory, it should be possible. You know, in theory.
I'll add some details to this that help me make the take. It's this. It's that in head-to-heads between Falcons and Vitality this year, it's just a slaughter, thankfully.
Yeah,
so this actually does work pretty heavily in the favor of m0NESY. So if they could, it's all conditional on them actually continuing to win, but they're 3-0 in series against Vitality this season. On the other hand, Falcons is 2-2 with Spirit this season so far, or this year so far. And I feel like that's just going to get better because I feel like the gap is going to actually widen as Spirit kind of figure out what is going on in terms of their sort of hierarchy of coaching, with Tanir not always playing well, with Magic still figuring out as an in-game leader, whereas Falcons is actually powering up with Kerrigan now. I would also say that when it comes to... so here's some like kind of historical data to go along with this. When JL took 5th in the world, his numbers were all practically lower than Shiro's. Like every single one. He was 0.06 rating lower than Shiro. He was 0.05 KPR lower than Shiro. And that's kind of the gap that you're getting right now between m0NESY. But the major MVP does such heavy lifting when it comes to HLTV's placements that also, like, Rain had one of the only top 20 appearances in history where if you do a top 20 filter on him, he had a sub 1.0 KD. He was 13th. Okay. He was 13th in the world because of that major MVP. That never happened.
No, that's fair. I hadn't thought of that one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the major MVP actually does way more for HLTV's criteria, because they even show it when they put on the MVP, EVP tabs. You can see that they consider the major as the only tier 1 trophy, and everything else is a tier 2 or a tier 3 trophy. Even Krakow, even, they still actually differentiate between those two tournaments. So there is a chance right now that even though m0NESY right now, if you actually take the number of MVPs and the number of EVPs, he's tied with Donk this year, but the major MVP would actually help close the distance statistically between those two players, according to what HLTV has done in the past. The guy that he has to overtake, that's going to be difficult, is ZywOo. And so what basically needs to happen for Falcons and for m0NESY to overtake ZywOo is they need to meet ZywOo in quarterfinals, hopefully even decider games to get to playoffs, and they have to beat them, because ZywOo's worst team that he plays against this year is Falcons. He has a 0.99 this year versus Falcons. So it's actually his kryptonite is the team that m0NESY is on that needs to keep beating him in order to like keep him down. So you need some good draws, you need some good brackets, but there is totally a possibility.
I mean, I don't think there is totally a possibility. I think there is a possibility. You don't follow football, but Duncan will know what I'm referencing to. You know the golden era of Messi and Ronaldo when they were switching like between Ballon d'Ors, and then Luka Modric stepped into 1 year and then he won it. Remember that?
Yeah.
First it was, Cannavaro, and then after them, then stepped Ronaldo and Messi and won everything. And then there is one guy that just surprised. That's Luka Modric from the Croatian midfielder, Maui. You probably know who he is. I don't know if you know, but whatever. He is like one of the GOATs when it comes to midfield, and like the guy is unbelievable. But the truth is he won, but that year that he had was just like from another planet, right? This is this reference to like CS when you have Messi and Ronaldo in their prime, meaning the donk and ZywOo right now. And is it going to happen? I don't know, because when you say like it's a total possibility, I would say it's a very small possibility. I would say it's less than 10%, simply because there is a lot of ifs, and there is also a first part of the season. You are banking on these things like, yeah, they were like terrible stats against, when they play each other, but you have to understand that all these teams, all these top teams, Spirit, Falcons, Vitality, which of those three teams are known to lose to a mid-tier team? What is the only team that can lose to a tier 2 team, to a weaker team than them?
Well, it would have been Falcons pre-Kerrigan.
But they did lose with Kerrigan against Bad Boom. They did lose. They did lose to Legacy 3-0 in the finals of Asian Championship. They did lose to that same Spirit 3-0 in that final of Astana.
You're forgetting one more aspect of this all, Kassad.
Yes?
They're targeting Singapore. Their timeline was to peak
it's joking
at
that
Singapore.
They're going to be even better at the next major, is what he's saying.
They got to be even better. Yeah, they're going to be even better. 2 major MVPs for m0NESY.
Listen, I'll give you the hot take thing, but like it is also equally insane as it is hot. Because
no, but here's what's funny. Maui actually did do a better job making his case now that we pushed him, right? Here's the point he's making. All of us, in a way, are thinking of this year as like a rerun of last year, but we're putting m0NESY instead of Donk, right? But what we're missing is this. Last year, even though it feels like they won, they didn't win this. They won the Austin Major, though, Vitality. And because they won that and he was the MVP, he's right. He ended up being both major MVPs, didn't he? And actually, you're right, that probably does count a lot to HLTV. Well, so far, m0NESY winning major MVP, it doesn't like directly neutralize it overall, but it actually gets m0NESY way more than just one normal MVP up the race. So it's not really 4 against 1 in that sense. It's probably more like 2 against 1 or something like that. So if you think about it, what he's also basically positing is, even though I'm not with him on the idea they'll win most of the events, essentially, what if they did win the second major? If they won the second major, most likely player of the MVP is m0NESY. If he wins both majors as both major MVPs, and then let's say at the end of the year, it's like, 2 major MVPs plus, I don't know, one or 2 more MVPs versus, let's say ZywOo gets 1 more. So say he has like 5 at the end, but no major. You could argue that part might to HLTV shift in favour of m0NESY. I think then you have to have the stats as well. Like, the one last thing I would say is this. The other reason why I think it's harder for m0NESY to get it done is I also do think if I look at how much it took out of extra players, literally 3 of them, like Kerrigan either needs to be better or he has to call an incredible tournament again. That's not a guarantee. And then, but obviously Nico overperformed, and then I wouldn't say Tessa's mad overperformed, but he certainly gave like some performances you wouldn't probably expect every time. It's good. Put it this way, it's harder with his teammates. But I actually think the case he's making about the major MVP is an angle I hadn't thought of, to be fair, because that is the one part that ZywOo hasn't got this year. So ZywOo probably needs to win Singapore actually to guarantee it. Yeah.
I don't know. I think there is also not that many events for them to compete.
Yeah, that's an issue. Sure.
I'm also looking down the calendar. Like, first of all, we have the couple of bounties, or like Oblast Open and then the bounty finals. And then you have the big one, EWC, and I'm not sure if that's going to be another. It's going to be groups and then elimination, so it's not going to be like last year. So that's okay. And then you have Pro League, which teams are skipping massively so far. Right now in Katowice, back in Katowice for season 24, and then you have PGL Masters in Bucharest, and after that is IEM Beijing, another. Blast rivals that nobody gives a fuck, even though it's $1 million, and then we land on the Singapore major. So it's not that many events, but there is so many sharks in the sea swinging and swimming in that fucking for charging.
You got to think of the normie community backlash to a 2-time major MVP winner. Like, Striker can't handle that pressure. He can't handle that. He sees that. He sees all the people saying 2 major MVPs. It has to be. And he's going to instantly m0NESY number 1. It's that easy. decision was so easy. That's what he's going to say.
Anyway, the point is, the point of the show is not to agree. It is to just acknowledge if it is a hot take and give our hot take. He has said he's made his hot take. We're not here to convince him it's not true and then have him break on the wheel. Like, the whole point is to have your hot takes, and whether they're right or not, just let them go in it. Now, obviously, people who do enjoy hot takes are eating good, but with our new sponsor, you could be eating even better, because actually it is fuel. If you don't know, I have had many times in my career, I can tell you, in esports and as a broadcast analyst, where absolutely food wasn't available, or it hadn't come yet, or it hadn't been prepared, or they say, oh, I'll be here in half an hour, but then in like 10 minutes I have to go on live. And the amount of times I've had to have like some really badly MacGyvered meal where it's like, it's not even food, it's like a handful of biscuits, cookies to Americans, or even worse. I've had one time where I just drank a milkshake, because that's like mildly filling, and just thought like, that's sort of like a meal, is it? And I can tell you, in like an hour and a half, first of all, let's just say that goes through you real quick when you haven't got any food in your stomach. And then secondly, it doesn't really last, does it? Within like an hour or two, you're definitely going to be hungry again. That isn't a meal, whereas the whole point of Fuel actually is a complete meal. I had drank this one the other day. It's a strawberry banana one. It's the black edition. It has 35 grams of protein. What I did is I actually tried it out instead of a meal. I had it instead of lunch, and it did keep me going until I had my evening meal that day. So that's actually one area you can already see where if you live a busy life, or you just want to be able to have a complete meal in one go, shake up this to wake it up, or just get the powder with 40 grams. And this actual one I have, the on the go one, is 35 grams protein, 7 grams fiber, and it's less than $5 a meal. So another thing I like about it is, obviously, maybe you're someone who needs to go to the gym, you might have to travel there, maybe you have a short lunch break. A lot of people work office jobs or have school, it's like a really short break, you don't have time to go anywhere nice, maybe there's not good food options for you. Also, they have all the different things in it, like it's got like, wait there 1 second. It's got 100% nutritionally complete, it says. It has got 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no artificial sweeteners, colours or flavours. Yeah, so I think one of the best things about it is the convenience and the fact that it's not just like you're having a drink, you're actually having a complete meal. It's just you drink it in this case. Also, by the way, it's really quick to drink if you want to drink in that sense. You have a limited amount of time. So the black edition, like I say, is 40 grams of protein, mixes with water and milk in about 30 seconds. You don't need to have anything else on top of this. It's got all those minerals. You can get 15% online if you're a new customer. By the way, if you're wondering how it's spelled, as it says on screen, it's HUEL. And yeah, it's just really easy to use. It's pretty nice. I tried it the other day. This one tasted nice. Strawberry banana tasted like I would have expected it to. So, limited time offer. Make healthy eating simple. Get Huel today with my exclusive code of 15% off online with my code LFN at huel.com/LFN. New customers only. Thank you to Huel for partnering and supporting our show. Okay, let us go on, gentlemen. So I actually thought, for fun reasons, we'll do where we actually let the fans get involved now. So wait there 1 second, actually. I've just realised one thing. I've just quickly put this... Oh, no, there wasn't... I was thinking there was an overlay for this. If you don't know, we are launching LFN Premium. And so this is actually going to affect this show, because on this show, we're doing this now just to show you what it would be like, as it were, almost like a try before you buy feature. But in the future, basically, this episode, you'll just be watching it all as it is. But in the future, if someone's an LFN Premium member, there will, at the end of this show and all other shows on our network, be a special Q&A section where you fans just ask us in advance questions. You'll be doing it in the future via Discord. On this episode, we did it for free via Twitter. And basically, that will be behind a paywall if you pay for LFN Premium, along with loads of other things. That you'll not only have Q&As for every other show on the network, but also on this show and other shows, you'll also be able to suggest a topic for that one. Obviously, in the past, we just did the hot take thing. By the way, you'll still be able to do that stuff via Discord. Like, if you want to stay a Discord subscriber, you can. It's just we would recommend you just cancel the Discord subscription and just become an LFM Premium member, because you'll get the same Discord functionality, but you get all the other things as well. And I can give you an example. There will be other content coming behind the paywall. Like, for an example of what there will be very soon is, if you know the show 4Play that we do where we review movies, we review 4 movies. So we now made one where behind the paywall there's a 5th play, and that goes there. And by the way, as a general rule for this sort of a premium service, one thing I told Monty is the philosophy should be you don't get things taken away from you that you already got for free, because that sucks if you have to pay for it. It's more like you already have all the same things you had before. If it's just, do you want more? If you want more, you pay for the premium. So for example, on the 5th play, I even told him there, we'll never make it like, you know, some epic, but like The Godfather the part 2 won't be behind the 5th player. Then if you want to see that review, you have to pay for it. No, the 5th player, I'll give you an example. An upcoming one, we're doing a Christopher Nolan arc, is the 5th player. It's actually a movie most people have never seen from Christopher Nolan. It was this little indie movie he did in 1998 before he became a Hollywood director. It's called Following. It's actually a movie he shot in the UK for like $6,000. It's kind of like a cool movie because it has the same out of sequence time storytelling narrative techniques that he uses in his movies. It's got like kind of an interesting plot with you. So anyway, you get the point. So if you would like to support us with Last Free Nation Premium, here is how you can do so. It's simple. Go to lastfreenation.com where it's already live. You can go and do it right now. As I say, I've said the perks you can get there. If you actually support our show, because for example, when you sign up, it'll ask you to pick which show's your favourite. If you pick Hot Take Point Made, then some of the money from your premium subscription every month will go to the 3 people in this call. Because if you don't know, one of the cool things about why we're doing this as well as to give more ways for you guys to support us and get more things is because when you support us, the money doesn't just go to some faceless corporation. You know, when you tip your waitress, does this actually go to you or does it go to like the restaurant? No, this goes to the people who actually do the work you like, because everyone who is a co-host on LFN has equity in the company. So here's the way to think about the premium service. It's people doing ads like sponsors. Yeah, they keep the lights on. They let us do the shows. But people who subscribe, you make it so that we don't have to sell out. We don't have to sell to a massive network or have some giant sponsor come in that goes, listen, guys, I'm going to sponsor you, but we're going to put all these, you can't say something crazy about that. You've got to stay. We don't want that. Like, that's the whole point of LFN is to be free, to be able to say what we want. So the point of all this as well is, aside from the fact that you can sign up to LFN, so by the way, go to lastfreenation.com, sign up for LFN Premium. It is $9 a month, or if you want to save money, sign up for a whole year. It is $90, which is roughly $7.50 a month. Pick Hot Take Point Made if we're your favourite shows, that we can get some direct support there. And there's a 7-day money-back guarantee if you want to try it out. So again, lastfreenation.com. And just like we get to have our say, thanks to you supporting us via subscriptions and the sponsors, you get to have your say, because actually one of the first things we've used this for, that's why I'm bringing it up, is I had Kassad do a tweet where basically I asked for topics for the show, so a hot take, and some Q&A. So at the end of the show, we'll also do the Q&A, but here's the topic I've picked out. Now, to be fair, whenever I'm doing fan ones, it's a bit trickier to know what's that much of a hot take, but I think the way this guy phrased this makes it a hot take, so I think it's a good topic, actually. So Chambermaid on Twitter said, players that use 4-3 resolution are actively playing at a disadvantage by having a narrow field of view. Now, that in itself, by the way, maybe not the craziest hot take. This is the part I think makes it a hot take, so well done. Then he says, some Kassad shit here, if I was the coach of an academy team, I wouldn't let a single player play on anything except native resolution. So it's essentially a 2-part hot take, guys. One, what do we think about using 4-3 as a pro? But then also, I actually think where he's made it a hot take, certainly, is the idea that you wouldn't even allow people the personal choice. You'd just be like, if you're in my team, it's like some Louis bag shit. You use the fucking plastic bag and that's it. So what do you think of the hot take that no one should be allowed to use 4-3? Because it's just worse for you. Thoughts, guys?
I like the way he's thinking, like I like the way he's thinking.
Of course you would like bad unreasonable coach angle, I know.
Listen, but however,
why?
This is not something you can actually do.
Yeah.
Because it kind of borders line with like, you remember in the past, and I hated this, and I think it's still happening, where there is a sponsor coming in for the organization, and it's a gear sponsor, right? Somebody who, like, I don't know, I'm not going to name any names, but like, let's say company that makes keyboards and mouses. And then all of a sudden you are, as a player, forced to play on a certain mouse that's completely different than the mouse that you are, used to play and have your best, numbers and best format. Because mouse is a very important piece of gear in a professional, Counter-Strike player, whatever it is, right? So the same thing goes with the video settings and, resolutions and everything. That would be like, I'm not going to allow my players to play on 600 hertz. They need to play on 360. Like, if that's something that you can advise them to do, like, listen, I think it's better to do this and blah, 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 try to convince them and make them test it. Like, that's the farthest you can go. But to kind of make it as an obligation and force them to do it, I don't think that's going to go well, because it's just the way that this setup is a part of the game. It would affect, and it can affect a lot of players, especially young players. And that's the tricky part. With young players, you can affect their confidence, right? And because changing this, it doesn't work, they play bad. They feel like placebo effect that they're playing for worse because of this. And first thing they're gonna blame is the fucking resolution or the native or the widescreen. They're not gonna blame themselves for missing a smoke, for getting a shot, not hitting that guy in the head, or whatever, like missing a shot. They're gonna blame this, and they're gonna blame you. For making them play like that. And when it comes to more established players, they're not just not going to accept it, because we are established players. I have like this thing that I played for the last 3 years. I can't do this. Like it's like forcing people to play on reverse mouse, because that's like the way the helicopter is being fucking flown. Like, it doesn't fucking make sense. But I like the way he's thinking. It's just he needs to be like using that critical thinking in some other aspects rather than
fair enough,
making players like play 4x3.
It's one of those things that's just, is it objectively better? Yes. However, I would say that certain mice that pull at a faster rate, like higher hertz, are supposed to also be objectively better. But some people just play to their comforts, and I don't think that. And I think your role as a coach. I mean, I did coach briefly. I mean, but it's not that was never like a. That's not what you're trying to get into the weeds on. You're not trying to go to war on these kinds of issues. You're trying to. It would also even similarly sound crazy to say we are always throwing this smoke. Every single round, we are throwing this smoke that you're coming up with and you're trying to explain that it's objectively better. That's probably even something that they'd be more down to listen to on. Let's try to build a whole strategy around that. Players aren't really too concerned about. I don't think that the players are going to listen to a coach who doesn't play at the mechanical level that they play at. Try to just hear them out on those kinds of issues. I don't think more often than not, a coach's job will be assisting them tactically, trying to help build some synergies, build out protocols and flowcharts in the round, work on the strat book. There's so many other things that you got to do that if you're going to waste everybody's, not waste, there is actually a benefit to it. It's just obviously, really, if that's the hill you're going to die on, you might just die. Like that's it. You might just get cut from. Yeah, you're just like it's not the battle that's worth taking for your own career, because eventually you will maybe reach that one player that is going to go head to head with you and say, I'm not switching, and then the org is going to have to decide, do we want Kyosuke or do we want whatever this guy's name is that is forcing him to do 4x3? Yeah, they're going to pick Kyosuke.
Yeah, but
the problem I have with this one is like. The reason I like it as a hot take is it does have that grain of like there is a logic to it. Like, by the way, here's what's weird. I actually myself am in the same position this guy is, because I do think in theory he's right. Like I've always quoted the most famous 4-3 moment ever is that Katowice 2018 that FaZe lost to Fnatic, because literally there's that moment on Game 5 train where Olaf Meister's on that fucking whatever, I think it's the 3 train, and literally Flusher creeps by, and if he hadn't have been 4-3, you would have just seen him on the edge of your screen. But because he was 4-3 and he's Flusher, not only did he creep by, I think he then like killed everyone and then was carrying the game, and then they won the match. And then I even might say that's to me, I always thought Boston was the biggest one, but that was the second biggest domino that actually ruined Carrigan and FaZe, Nico's chance to win it. Like, actually, low key, those two moments had two of the biggest. Stewie 2K's bullshit 3K and that Flusher 4-3 moment actually, unironically, like stopped Carrigan and Nico from being like the goats of CS as mental, because they were primed to like win everything and like peel off a dynasty or something. So I have always thought that moment does make you think. When you see it, here's the problem. When you see that moment, your brain just goes, well, it's unnecessary, isn't it? Like, why ever have that happen to you in the game? Why doesn't everyone just play 16-9 on native, basically? And then at worst, yeah, sometimes someone will still creep around you, but that'll happen. The problem obviously is, that doesn't happen very often, does it? Like, the reason I even listed that one is it's a really famous one. There's not really that many super consequential, famous 4-3 moments, even if when it happens, it feels like, oh, this is so stupid. So my problem is this. In theory, I agree. And if I didn't play the game, I probably, like him, would say, I'd just make my players play. But I think you might know where the punchline's going. I myself play 4-3 and always have in CSGO. And by the way, I've tried not doing it because people know I like the AWP. And in theory, for the AWP scope, it's actually better to not play it 4-3. Even so, I play 4-3, and I even know why some of the best players who are AWPers even play 4-3. Because the thing players say, here's the thing, if I actually had a scientist guess, even though you feel like you see them bigger, it probably doesn't. It probably scales totally appropriately, right? In the same way as it's not true, noob. Their head isn't actually bigger, it just looks bigger to you. Like, please understand, you haven't hacked the game. But here's what I will say that I think unfortunately is true, and it's why it deflates this whole point. It does feel like they're bigger, though. And it does feel like I'm a more arcadey, and it feels like I'm more in the game. And it feels, for me, like I can focus on the crosshair a lot easier. So I know it sounds weird because it's all feelings there. There's nothing scientific about what I just said. You probably can't even measure it. I'm pretty sure not only people like me agree with me that like they wouldn't stop it if possible. I also think low-key, on some psychological level, it might even actually fuck with people. Like here's what's weird. I have played 16-9 sometimes, but I feel like if I didn't have a choice and someone made me play it, I'd do like Kassad said. If I lost and I whiffed a shot, a part of me would be like, nah, I don't miss that on fall. Even if it's not true, again, it's feelings, but I'm sorry. By the way, as an artist myself, autistic people of the world, understand, you might not want it to be that feelings rule the world. They do. I don't care that you want it to be facts and all of it. It's never going to be the way reality works. It never has been and it never will be. Feelings do rule the world because they affect everything else about your being and how you interact with the world. So unfortunately, not only do I think it would make them worse, but I also agree. This would be actually an example of something that low-key would either get you fired as a coach or people just would hear it, wouldn't join your team. I know that sounds like a troll because you might think it's a minor issue. It isn't. There's some player out there, I wouldn't speculate because I can't know which ones really would die on this hill, but there are some pro players, I'm telling you, would just be like, if they heard that before they signed, they'd be like, I think I'll just join another team instead. Or even worse, like I said, if you ever actually didn't succeed as a coach, I agree with Kassad. I think this would just be the first most obvious way that they'd just bitch about you and get you fired or say to their management, like, yeah, he's doing something unreasonable. Like, remember, in theory, I'll give you one last example. I was in theory in favour of that thing last year, of the idea that like maybe Lars Robel was right. Maybe m0NESY stays up too late playing Face It and he, plays until the early hours of the morning. So the idea is, well, if we're going to be at tournaments where sometimes the game starts at 10 a.m, maybe you should get on a sleep schedule where you always wake up at like 8 a.m. local time. Again, in theory, that makes perfect sense. The problem is, bro, it's m0NESY. If there's anyone could just go to his org, get this guy the fuck out my face, it's him. And then two, he's already cracked out. So again, even if in theory that's right, you have to sort of let m0NESY do m0NESY, I'm afraid. Like, there's only so much control you can have. So unfortunately, this is what I thought was a good hot take. There is a logic to it. Part of me even feels like he's right. But I'll tell you what, when I load into the game, I'm going 4-3 every time. And sadly, I think a lot of your favourite pro players are. I mean, you're never going to change it. Even though I sort of appreciate the creative attempt to think of something else you could change in the game. But you are wrong, I'm afraid. You are absolutely wrong. It is a hot take. It's a mad hot take. Especially the idea you'd force like young players. I don't think you can do it, boys. I think you're even exaggerating the fact that you're saying young as if you're going to get in there early. By the time you ever find a player for an account, he's already set in his ways. He's probably played the game for 4 years already, mate. So you'd really have, if you want to get them that way, you better get them out the womb, mate. They better be like day one of loading CS. You better tell her. And I don't know how you're going to get that kid and force him to play. So in your case, you better become like Gabe Newell and then just make CS so it doesn't have 4-3. That's the only option I guess you have. Like, I don't know, boys. Time for a Kassad hot take?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I think I'm going to go for FURIA. And I'm going to say the FURIA is not going to win any events ever.
Ever. Well, can we just say it for the next year? Because again, we have to be able to check this tweet. I know, like, but we'll take it for granted forever. But
I'm so confident I'm going to say ever.
All right, ever then.
You can message me in 10 years when they win. It looks like, they won. But they're not going to happen. The truth is like, even though I'm taking this position right now, simply because they were in the finals of Cologne Major. But if you look at the finals and the run they had in that event, look at the opponents: Bait, Mouse, Bedpool, 9Z, Aurora. And as soon as they ran into a rougher or harder opposition, they didn't get the double digits. In Astana, they were 5-8. They lost to Falcons again. They managed to play against Monte Heroic Gentle Mates. And they barely won those games. They lost to Spirit. They lost to Falcons. Again, as soon as they run into a tougher opposition, done. In Major, done. Now the new season is starting. Not many events that they're going to play probably as much as they can because of Fallen. But I don't think any event they do attend right now, they're not going to win any titles. Maybe they get top 4 simply because of the individual skill. But even that is dropping down. As soon as Fallen leaves at the end of the year, he go to retirement at the end of the year. That's what happened. Like after they finish Singapore, YEKINDAR is checked out. He's gonna look for a European team. He's gonna look for the CS or Russian, whatever, like team. If not, he's gonna be trying the sneak into FaZe or something like that. Mouse teams like that he's going to be trying to use the momentum that he had in that he built up in FURIA to get a contract that's going to last him, so he's out of there. That's number one. Poland is already out. We already said that. He's going to be, the third and the most important part is going to be molodoy. You think FURIA is going to be able to keep molodoy? He's not one of those Brazilians that you can like blackmail into staying for 10 years. He can just fuck off and go back to Kazakhstan and you're never going to find him. No matter how many fucking favela.
I don't know about the not finding part. Yeah, so I know. Whatever.
But the thing is, if he wants to go, he'll go. It's not going to be like with the rest of the Brazilians that's going to be stay committed to FURIA for 77 years. It's just not going to happen. Which leaves them with who? Yuri, kassad, right? And then it's going to be another circle of Garys, Arts, all kind of Brazilians and QZs, DGTs, fucking whoever's, right? And on top of when they get to that position and start recycling players from Legacy, Pain, all of those Brazilian teams right now, they're gonna end up being in a worse position than they were before getting molodoy and all this, hype started with him and YEKINDAR joined the team, and they're going to end up in that rat race again where they are playing quarterfinals, possibly maybe getting to the major. They're not going to be in the best South American team, by the end of the year as well. So not by the end of the year, but in 2027. So that can be a small hot take. FURIA that's not going to be the best South American team or North South American team in 2027, simply because there's not going to be anything left. And on top of that, you have to imagine that at one point, Yuri's and kassad, especially, form is going to be dropping. He's not going to be able to perform. Maybe he will, because he's again going to be the main star player. But who else? Who else? Is Fallen going to go to the GM spot or running an org and maybe finds a talent? How long is that going to be? Is it going to be in FURIA or he's going to have his own Fallen's fucking dream team, whatever the fuck is it? I'm sure it's not going to be FURIA, because why would he be in FURIA and stay there? Because he can do his own thing, right? Why would he promote there? So with YEKINDAR checking out, looking for a European team, which is going to happen, molodoy just fucking off as soon as Fallen is gone, and Fallen actually retiring, FURIA is not going to be able to rebuild that, and they're not going to win anything ever again in terms of big events. They can win, those lands, the semi-lands and all this shit I'm not going to name, but basically are even worse than potato cups. But overall, the hot take is that they're not going to win ever a tier 1S, whatever you want to call it, event in the remainder of their existence.
I do love that when you said that they're going to be doomed to getting, and then you listed a handful of people. Two of the names you listed, Art and DGT, both won tournaments this year. So they're going to pick up guys that have won tournaments. But either way, I like the take because FURIA is clearly on the downtrend. They're not. I don't really see them in the true contender sort of circle, along with Falcons, Vitality, and Spirit. They're definitely a tier beneath those three teams. I would even say Spirit's in a tier beneath Falcons and Vitality, who are probably like my only real S tier teams right now, and then Spirit would be like an A+ tier, I guess, and then Furies and whatever is beneath that. So I like it in that sense, but I still think that the calendar in CS is long enough, and there's enough of, what is there, like 10 events this year to come, so I feel like the chance that they win one of, like G2 won a fucking event last year. Like,
yeah, let's just clarify, because I'm going to assume to kassad that those two players, those are the competitions he doesn't count, like CAC and whatever the XEC. I assume he means like a tier one, like it has to be like a real IM or a Blast or something.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
Right. Like or a good PGL with real teams. Yeah,
of course.
Right.
Like
CAC had some good teams. The CAC, that Legacy one, it had Falcons and Maus and Mongols, and
so
okay. If you're not going to count those kinds of teams, then, or those kinds of tournaments,
those kind of teams, there is one good team that you listed, and you didn't list the three that were missing, the three top actual teams.
Okay.
Yeah. Then okay. So I guess you wouldn't count like I don't know, the PGL Masters Bucharest kind of event. I guess. Okay.
To him, that's a banana cup, isn't it?
Well,
then
like a banana.
That obviously deletes
banana
like half
strawberry.
the S tier.
By the way, it does make his take not as hot now. He has sort of fucked in that sense. But it's also because the problem is anyone could win those tournaments in theory, right? I'm assuming that's his
FURIA.
point.
Yeah. If I mean, because if Spirit, Vitality, or Falcons joined those tournaments today, they'd probably just wipe the floor with anybody of that.
If
that
two of
caliber,
those,
sure.
let's spice it up with saying if two of those three teams are
Okay.
in the tournament,
Forever.
Right, yeah. Forever.
Forever. Forever.
Let's say the top 3 teams in the world. Let's make it fair like that.
Yes,
Let's
yes.
just do that. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay, well then again, it's not as hot anymore because they're clearly out of that running. But at the same time, I still think that in Counter-Strike, there's just a little bit more time and there are more opportunities for these kinds of tournaments. Like again, like Mongols won one last year. You know, I guess you wouldn't. I guess you wouldn't include PGL Cluj of last year for MAUs, but like the fact that Mongols and G2 won those kinds of tournaments last year leads me to believe that there's still a handful of tournaments that can be won by probably 7-ish teams, and I would say that Fury is firmly within that 7.
Here's the thing, I actually think it's a really good hot take, even with his like miserly correction to hate on tournaments, because here's why I think it's a good hot take. Because I remember one of the secrets on this show is I just know my co-host, so I know how Kassad thinks, and what he's basically showing now, which he's right about, is right now, it's not this roster. This roster's pretty good. What FURIA is fucking up with this roster right now is they are doing nothing to future-proof their roster. They're just going to let the roster run up until the last day of the year, then go, see you Fallen, if not earlier, by the way. And then the second that happens, I agree with Kassad, all those things almost certainly happen. Like, in my opinion, all 3 of these things happen. One, YEKINDAR leaves. I think that's just obvious because it's already implied molodoy's leaving. If those 2 leave, right, because why would one stay? And that, by the way, if you keep one, then he may as well be Brazilian again also. So I think unless you keep both, you don't keep both. So I think both of them leave. I'm with him. I actually think you end up with like molodoy and like Spirit or something. YEKINDAR, who the fuck knows? Maybe he actually ends up playing with Jame again. Or he goes to some Russian team. Whatever it might be. He can obviously go to a European team too. Maybe he's in a G2 or a FaZe. He's got the international. But I think as soon as those players leave, the reason why I actually agree with Kassad's take is those are really important pieces. And the issue is, because of the Brazilian market, I mean, you saw it in this off-season. Guys, as far as I can tell, these teams really fucking tried. Like m0NESY, Legacy, all the MIP, they were all trying to make big moves. Almost none of them got the moves done, you know what I mean? They couldn't get all the pieces they wanted because it's really hard to get one good Brazilian player. Never mind trying to get 2 or 3 and make like a super team. So if I had to guess, they don't ever make a super team around them. They just get other Brazilian players. But the difference is, the Brazilian players at that point, you're going to be getting people like Lox, Nissim. That's like the level you're going to have to get into. Or as you say, art. It's going to have to be the return of art, isn't it? Bring it all. But then who the fuck's coming then? What Orpus is safe coming back again? You know what? That roster already sounds mid as fuck. I'm with you. That doesn't win a tier 1 tournament, mate. And then I'll even add in, actually in history, considering they're sort of locked into this roster, I don't think Furia has ever been a particularly good org at GMing. They don't seem like they ever spend big money. They seem like they always take people who are like young but not that good, or like maybe he's all right still from, you know what I mean? Even the Fallen signing was kind of dodgy first. It just eventually ended up working out because he rolls up. So I'm with you. I don't think they ever make any big moves in that sense. And actually, I'm also with you in the sense that if you are only left with kassad and Yuri, look, kassad's a monster. That's a great player. Yuri, I actually don't think he'll ever be a star player. I think he'd just be like a good piece. I think you don't have much there. Like all of a sudden, if I'm trying to fill in players and I can't really just take the best MIBR, the best Legacy, I don't think you actually do have a roster that'll be top 5. So I think you'll be on the outskirts. And then I'll just throw this in lastly. It's not like they win. This core was never the one that fucks around and wins. They have to win tournaments when they play 10 out of 10. You know what I mean? Like they're not actually sort of like that good at winning when everything isn't going well. So actually, listen, obviously the part that is crazy that allows it to still be a massive hot take is you said forever. And then even made it where you don't even know the teams in the future, but as long as the top 3 go there. But I think it's a good hot take, basically. I think it's a good, yeah. And also, I think actually what does make it a big hot take as well is because right now they have a good roster and they just made the final. I do think that will be a hot take. I think people will be shocked initially, even though it's actually it's not actually that hot when you analyse it, but it's a good take. I think because it sounds like I like it. I like that angle. Right, okay, gentlemen. Obviously, we are happy to announce a segment returning to this show, which is Polymarket, isn't it? And so we've got a few here. If you go into Polymarket, the Counter-Strike 2 section, they've got this props area where you can do things. So I thought one we do right out the gate is Blast Bounty is the next big event. like the other ones, it starts online, it has the qualification, then you go to the LAN, which is going to be in Malta, and then the question is just who's the winner. So, believe it or not, as of right now, Vitality is the favourite at 30%. Falcons, who just won the major, 28%. Spirits at 22%. Then everyone else is really low. FURIA's only 7%. The new Aurora, 2%. G2, 3%. Mouse, 3%. You can keep going. There's a whole bunch of them. Right, here's the question. 1, who do you think wins? And 2, what do you think is the best value? Which one of those would you take as the best value for this one?
It's always what's different about this one than the other one that we do during the season is the fact that this is the first event of the season immediately after the break. Take Falcons, for example, right? It's a 28. The Polymarket traders are saying 28%, right now that they're gonna win the season 2. That's the finals. That's the actual. Remember, people that they need to qualify first.
Yes,
to
that's
the
true.
Finals.
Yep.
There is an online part of the thing, and you know how Blast Bounty works. People are picking their opponents to steal their money, to steal their whatever.
Yes. So in theory, it makes the upset more likely.
On top of that, listen to me. There is this moment where Nico and Falcons won that major, right, in Cologne, and then the big relief and the big break came after that. The big, stepping away from Counter-Strike to kind of enjoy the break as much as you can. Coming into the next season, they're not gonna be sharp as they were, let's say, in the Cologne or the end of those seasons. So they're not going. Who knows who's gonna pick them or what they will have? And they have to go to that first qualifier, then go to the finals and all these things. The money for me, the smart money is Falcons not winning it.
Ooh, okay, because there's only 28%. Okay.
Yes, exactly. So I would maybe take that as if I was looking for a proper angle to something like smart, put my money on the smart thing, just because the logic says so. On top of the fact that it's a start of the season. Okay. It's a start of the season. Who's gonna be chasing those people? Vitality, Spirit. They're gonna be coming up full energy, full focus. After the major, probably with a longer bootcamp, trying to take them down instantly to reclaim the number 1 spot and winning that first event. So my money would go on the Falcons not winning it.
Okay, interesting.
Ooh.
What's the most value bet?
I think it's a good take to say that Vitality is just going to take this one, just because you would hope that even though I preempted my whole m0NESY take with him, or with Vitality not actually performing as well, and they might be on a little bit of a downtrend. This is the kind of event that they're probably going to say to themselves internally, we need to win this to prove to ourselves that we're better than what we did at Cologne. So they're probably going to take this a little bit more seriously than you would get from a normal Vitality that is coming into the season and can already rest on their laurels. That's not the Vitality that should be starting out season 2 of 26. So I'd probably jump on Vitality or Spirit here, because I think Spirit's probably telling themselves something similarly. Whereas, like kassad pointed out, you think you're going to get a little more, I guess, Louis bag buying out of Falcons in the offseason.
What's funny is this. I will answer it this way, right? When I do something like this, I actually think this is a prime opportunity. Bearing in mind the 3 big favourites are all very low percent because they've got to 1 qualify and then 2 because it's the first day of the season, like you say. Yeah, no one really knows where they're going to be at. I actually think the value, I'll cheat first, because all 3 are quite similar. If you think one of those is the real favourite, take it, because the value's crazy if they win. You'll get a lot from that. Even the highest one's 30%. Remember, that will be 30 cents, but it'll go up to $1 per amount you've put in. You'll get a lot for the winner for that. Obviously, the problem here is this is where kassad is just being very conservative. The problem is it's really hard to know who will win. So if you want to just go with a really efficient angle, then yeah, actually, I think he's picked a clever one, which is saying that Falcons won't win. So the only condition that has to happen is they just don't win the tournament. I'm with you. Here's why. Because 1, the way they won already was incredibly close margins. It was really, really unlikely you can just do that every tournament. And then secondly, let's just be real. This is one area, I don't know how kassad feels about this, but one area where I would never blame Falcons for being unprofessional. professional is I'll give you the obvious example, Kassad. If I'm Nico, I haven't touched a mouse since I finished that final mate. I've just had my first real, full, zero prep. I'm not coming back 3 days early. We're not doing any scrims. Mate, I've been working 10 years for this motherfucking major. So you know what? I've been on a beach the whole time. I've been pina coladas. I've been watching fucking SpongeBob. I've just been chilling with I've got fucking women with grass skirts on dance. I haven't touched a set. This is my warm-up event. This is my scrim. I'm not playing so unfortunately, I don't think you see the best. So I get why he does that. But I would just say, if you want crazy value, I would probably take Vitality or Spirit. I think actually Spirit's maybe even the sleeper because they'll have the coaches there. And I actually think Vitality should actually just be coming out horny as hell to just destroy everyone and just show we're actually still the best team. So I think we've given some good angles there. I think we've got some good angles there, gentlemen. Okay. Right, I have got a hot take, which is a hot take, mainly if you know me. And I'm going to do it. Let me just give you a quick disclaimer. I am going to, for effect, believe it or not, gentlemen, this is actually a show. Some of it's entertainment. Sometimes, believe it or not, when I'm talking about it in private, I don't scream about things. Go, can you believe it? What are you doing? And Kassad actually sometimes disagrees and just goes, I don't really think so. He doesn't go, Meds, are you insane? Some of that. I know you can't believe it, guys. Some of this is a show, believe it or not. Some of it, there's some kayfabe going on here. That's all I'm going to say. So one of the things I want people to understand is when I say we should all apologise, nobody has to apologise for opinions, guys. Anyone can predict anything they want. They can think anything they want. They can analyse it. I'm going to say apologise as like a humorous way to phrase this. Because get ready. Here's my hot take. You know when Vitality last year won the Blast Austin major, which was their first major with that roster with Rops, etc. And it's like what's like established their era and what a dominant, one of the greatest seasons ever. I was one of the people who, when I watched it, because I was already watching with the eye test and feeling how the games went. If you remember, it went like this. The main contenders we all thought was Spirit and Falcons, right? Because Falcons had the new roster and they had that amazing Melbourne and they didn't have the file afterwards. It was 5 maps. You had Spirit, had Donk, he was still insane, and they were still a top team. They were still there. The problem was, if you remember the way the major went, Falcons just bombed out super early and were irrelevant. Spirit got knocked out by Mouse. And so what ended up happening was the bracket for Vitality was they played Na'Vi in the round of 8, but that was the Na'Vi just before they kicked GL. That was one that felt really whacked, didn't it? It felt like that team can't win tournaments. Then they played Mouse. Now we all forget Mouse was actually the number 2 team in the world. It's just the problem is they don't win the big tournaments. So we all felt like, well, that's easy. They just chalk and give you the game. And then in the final, they played Little Mongols, who, by the way, had a good season, but they weren't a team that win big tournaments. We all thought they were chalkers still. So here's the problem. It felt like that's actually quite a weak run. And then they played against Mongols, kind of shit on a couple of the maps, didn't they? They had like a dodgy ass fucking, got wrecked on Mirage. I even thought they were a bit sus on the Inferno to close it. But here's why I'm going to say it jokingly. We all, including me, Thorin, we all owe Vitality an apology for critiquing their major run that way. And here is why, gentlemen. Because what I realise now is, if I'm going to say the major run is whack, what else could have happened? Like, at the end of the day, Falcons were kind of chalky at majors anyway. It wasn't just that one. They never did anything at majors until this one now. Spirit, true, just lost a great game of Mouse. That's okay. But if you actually look, I actually looked this up now, and I didn't realise how bad this looks. If you look the day before the major began at the HLTV ratings, here are the 3 teams they played, gentlemen. They played Mouse in the semis, the number 2 ranked team. They played Mongols in the final, the number 5 ranked team, and they played Na'Vi in the quarterfinals, the number 7 ranked team. They played 2 of the top 5, and they're one of the other top 5, and the other team was top. Listen, by feeling an eye test, that wasn't a hard run. But there almost isn't a hard run there. That's why in a joking way I'm saying we actually owe them apology. It did feel weak because it was, but that just was a slightly weak era of CS, unfortunately. If you look back, you realise there's a lot of what you call paper tight. There's people who are higher in the rankings aren't actually that super strong. Like if I put some of these teams in history, they don't beat anyone. So even though true, Vitality didn't beat anyone, who could they have played? The only way I could basically make their run better is Spirit has to beat Mouse. That's about it. That's it. And even then, that's the Spirit that has the slightly scoffed roster. So, like, what do you want me to do with that? Like, that's the one Spirit themselves changed it. So Spirit almost themselves acknowledged that roster was whack. So my joke is, since everyone knows I was super critical and I was like, see, we won another major, but this one was bullshit too. Actually, you can't get much better for that fucking bracket, boys. Like, on paper, that is actually a pretty good bracket. It certainly isn't one of the weakest majors ever. I'll retract that statement. There you go. A rare semi-fake, but in spirit true apology from me to ZywOo fans and ZywOo himself. There you go, gentlemen. What do you think?
I don't know. I go Maui. I mean,
He doesn't know what to say. He's never seen me humble. The humble go. I'm like Zima now. I'm just humble and selfish.
You're like messy now. You're like messy.
Yeah, exactly.
Just full fake.
This is just a weird. This is a strange hot.
Yeah, I'm throwing everyone off, haven't I? I'm throwing you all off, boys.
I don't. There's no like obvious way to react to this. It's not really a polarizing take. It's
Do you agree?
I mean, well, I think that oftentimes people have overrated teams because of the star players that they have, such as Falcons for the last 2 years, because you watch them play Counter-Strike and there was not a huge semblance of teamwork going on with them until Kerrigan got on board, or you saw Falcons peak a couple times, but that was pretty far and few between. So to say they were an elite team going into that tournament, I mean, yeah, there's some truth to it. I mean, they were actually one of the better 5 out there, but they weren't. But it's just that people wanted to see the clash of titans, the big name power, the name brand value in the server, and that's unfortunately what we didn't get. Same with Donk, of course, but yeah, no, I mean, I guess I don't know because I don't know what my take. I don't think I ever fully fledged agreed that this was a bad run. This isn't Paris levels of a run by any means.
No, exactly. It's
not even close to that.
Yes.
This one, they actually did just beat who was in front of them, and in a round of 8, if you beat number 257, that's pretty good. I mean, that's how seeding should work.
Yeah, great.
That's what you can't really beat 2, 3, 4 if you're number 1 unless the seeding was just despicable.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, no, I don't. It's not really like I can't have a big reaction to this take, so I guess it kind of ends there.
Here's the thing, though. It is a hot take because of who I am. That's the joke. And also, if you think about it, I'll just admit it now. I am being fake humble, kassad, because what I'm actually saying is, I apologise, ZywOo. You didn't play a weak run. The entire scene was weak when you were at your absolute. In a way, I've doubled down on downplays of course. Anyway, go on. What do you think, kassad? What do you think?
I mean, we should apologize for the Paris too as well. Like, fuck it. Like we are like.
Nah, never. I'll never apologize for that one.
No, the truth is like we need to stop saying the number 2, number 5, 7. Like we don't really believe that was a number 2 team. That Maus wasn't the number 2 team. Like, they were not the number 2 team.
Listen, hit your boy Peter up. I'm not the one who made HLTV rankings, mate. So,
He's long gone. I don't even know where that guy is. He disappeared with the money somewhere.
Yeah, because now people turned up who know how stats work. But anyway, enough of that. Put the beef on the shelf. It's all good.
The truth is that, like, of course, people need to understand that you're faking it completely. And you're calling all the whole scene shit. But the thing is... the number 5, was it really number 5? Like, they had an okay run, I guess. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't the greatest, but they did lose a map in the final. They did lose a map in the semi-final to Maus. Like, what would have happened if they actually played the real number 2? Then,
that's interesting.
Or real number 5. I guess Mongols were real number 7.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, what would happen if they played...
No, they were 5. Mongols were 5. It was Na'Vi that was 7.
Na'Vi that was 7. Okay. So, let's say they faced Spirit, but Spirit lost to Maus, and that was like... Spirit was what? Number 3, and then Maus was number 2. Was it really number 2 and number 3 playing in the quarterfinals?
Apparently, yeah.
It's just a very arguable, like, and not very, like, a realistic, rankings.
No, I know.
Duncan was trying to say the rankings was shit as well.
Of course.
The whole scene, But the thing is, like, I wouldn't apologize. I mean, it's not really... It's not really my style, though.
By the way, even though you're saying it as a gag, I would never apologise for the Paris major, though. Remember, I think ZywOo fans just love that because, 1, it was his first major, and 2, he directly beat to win a major a ginger British guy. But that doesn't mean he was me. That was Thomas from Into the Breach, who you've never heard of before and you've never heard of since. Enough said.
But also, I don't believe in the apologies, though. Like,
that's a better hot take. That's an even better hot take. Okay, make that the hot take.
That is a made-up thing. Like,
I know.
You know where the apologies work?
Wait a minute. He actually said he doesn't believe in apologies, Barry, because they're a made-up thing. Well, they are. By definition, they are. God didn't make them. Like humans created the concept.
They are a concept.
I know.
The only apology that's acceptable is in traffic if somebody cuts you off and then, like, does the thing.
All right,
or
my bad.
He does the thing, and then that's okay. But this thing, when somebody like shits on you and says I'm sorry, and it's supposed to be like I'm supposed to like forget about it?
Yeah.
That's fake. I don't believe that. I don't believe in apologies. That's put that as a headline.
Well,
but the thing like
This says a lot about your marriage.
I know.
there's no apologizing in this house. I'll tell you that.
I like the idea, Maui. You know the sign that all the shit libs in California have, like, in this house we believe in science. Kassad's is like, no apologies, no Louis bags. Like, it's outrageous. I know. I would make the obvious joke.
Pink equipment, like
the obvious gag is at the end it says no and then the name of a country that it used to be in Yugoslavia. But enough about that. Again, we always keep that joke.
4x3.
We keep that joke on the shelf. It's all good. Yeah,
Okay.
no 4x3 exactly.
Yeah, of course.
No major for Falcons at the IM Clone 20. Oh, my bad. Was that too soon? Oh, well, whatever. Never mind. Don't worry about it. It's all good. So anyway, right. There's one last angle we have to do, gentlemen, which is we have one more Polymarket. So on the props one, I thought this one was an interesting one, just because it's a bit outside of our usual. No, we do roster moves, who's going to win. If you remember, there was a story in the last few months that said, I will say, I think it originally came from like League of Legends, because they're obviously quite interested in Fnatic too, but it's been talked about in CS2. The notion goes that Fnatic might merge with the company or be bought by a company. It was being rumoured it was like a small football club or a German people kept saying this. I will say, I mean, maybe I'll get to this in a second, but there have been statements that make it imply it might not happen. But essentially, the question here is, if it does happen that they merge or get acquired, it has to be announced by the 1st of September. So we're talking about 5 to 6 weeks from now. Pretty small. At the moment, it's actually on 54%. Traders think this will happen. The only option obviously is yes or no. What do you think, guys? We're not claiming to have any inside info. If you do, let us know. But do you think it happens, and which would you pick?
So we can make money.
Which would you pick?
No. The thing is, listen, when it comes to Fnatic, I feel like this organization is being run by Zelensky or something. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
say Willy Wonka or something, for fuck's sake. I know it's always like that, innit? Just pick a fictional character, for God's sake. I know you can't get cancelled.
Run by James Banks.
I know you can't get cancelled for saying Sauron or something. I know exactly.
He's
whatever.
a fucking real person. Like,
okay,
whatever. But the thing is, why am I saying that?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking exactly.
No apologies, Kassad.
Yeah, my bad.
No
Yeah.
apologies.
What did I say that's wrong?
Don't worry about it. Just keep going. We're just nervous, okay? We're just nervous.
They start buying Ukrainian players all over the place and make the...
Oh, right. Do you know what? He's done it again, Maui. That actually wasn't that bad. He meant Zelensky in the sense they just...
yeah.
Right. Again, as usual...
That's why I said James Banks.
As usual, I just got scared. Yeah, that's also a legit answer.
Don't worry, man. Don't worry. I'm
all right.
The thing is, like, all of a sudden, this organization that has been for many, many years... top organization, CS legacy organization that won a lot of things, blah, blah, whatever, championship mentality, culture, everything, right? They had they had Swedish players most of the years, right? And they turned to international a little bit. And then all of a sudden, something switched in this organization. Now, I know people who work there, and Fnatic as an organization is known that it's not really paying a lot to the most of the players.
Yes.
Some of the players do, but most of the players are being relatively low paid. And that's okay. Like, it's fine. Like, we don't go into that type of business. You pay as much as you fucking want. It's on the people if they want to, work for that money or not. But the thing is, all of a sudden they switch up the whole CS division position or like direction and start buying these Ukrainian players and switching, like, then buying other players, then switching them for another Ukrainian player, and now they're full Ukrainian. They got that card guy, Kieran, whatever his name is.
The one who was in NIP.
And then they're just becoming worse and worse and worse and worse. When I spoke to Card, who I'm talking
the CGO, not the guy who was in NIP. Yes.
Yeah, the CGO, the legendary Hall of Famer, IPL of Fnatic, and the guy, he was a smart person. Well, maybe not so smart. But the thing is, when I spoke to him back when we were discussing Nok and whoever we were discussing in the time, he said, we are going to build around Matisse, the G2 guy, and Blame F. We have two strong pieces. We want to build international lineup around them, have a strong core, compete at the highest level. It all made sense completely. Like, I was like, yeah, fuck, this guy is smart. Matush is a fucking sick player. I spoke about it then. He's a very good player. Blame F, whatever you might think of him, he was giving good numbers, and he was a good player by many people's opinions. And they could have brought more people because they had the funds and they had the opportunities. All of a sudden, they switched the whole direction and start selling everybody and start buying Ukrainian players. And the whole Fnatic CS division and the CS, and the whole organization has lost its value completely. Not just by getting, lower tier players, but they are nowhere. They are not having any results. And we know when you're not having any results, nobody's looking at you, which means nobody's gonna give you money to, advertise them. Which means there is no money coming into the organization, and the legacy, the army of fans is gone. So you cannot sell your merch anymore like you did before in 2010 or whatever it was. So where is the money coming from? So I'm not surprised. Wouldn't be surprised they get, into some sort of acquisition merger by September 1st, because they announced it 2 months ago, and probably it's burning right now. The money is burning right now. So they're gonna, lower their expectations more and more as time goes by. We are now 14th of July. So there is whole July and the whole August before something happens. So that's a 45-day period. So for me, this is a fair percentage of 54.
By September 1st. I mean, I feel like this is something that I also just haven't been following Fnatic almost at all for the past season because, so I feel like now would be a pretty good time. I feel like this is a little soon. That's my only hesitation with it. 54% when I haven't, if I just do quick Google searches on Fnatic merger, Fnatic acquisition, which I did as soon as we saw this, I didn't really find anything. So I don't know where those kinds of rumblings come about, but I don't know. Stuff comes out in Discords that I am not privy to whatsoever, and then some fan will bring it to my attention that somebody was saying this in a Discord channel, and that's probably how you could find some kind of edge on a sort of poll like this.
The problem with this story is, kassad sort of did they probably do need money and they probably should say. I'm sort of with him on that one. It wouldn't have surprised me at any time in the last 3 to 4 years if Fnatic had sold to someone, especially if they could have, back in the old days, gotten a big valuation. Because there was a story, basically, it was in December of last year, where Sky News, not an esports site, an actual site, if people don't know, that's a sports site. They do Sky's the big cable and well, not cable, satellite service in the UK, basically. But so normally they don't report on esports stuff. It was actually in the money section. So in the finance section, the report said esports team Fnatic aims to score with $100 million valuation. So what that implies, by the way, is I don't think any industry person said they're worth $100 million. That implies Fnatic was probably putting the word out there, hey, we want to sell or merge with someone and we're worth $100 million. I can tell you, by the way, they're definitely not. Even when 6-7 years ago, you used to see Forbes articles TSM is worth $500 million, not in any fucking universe. And in fact, now that once you lose your big teams as well in any of the games, the actual company's probably worth $6 million now, $10 million. Basically people are buying almost in this case, the name because it's Fnatic and hoping then they can turn it into something. So I do think pretty sweet. It does sound to me like they do need it. I'm sort of with kassad. I don't really believe, guys, that they think that a random Ukrainian player is better than BlameF. I think that in that case, they just want a cheap player. And I also don't think they thought the Ukrainian players were better than Matush or whatever you say. I think they just wanted to sell, make the money, and then get a cheaper player. And then obviously they probably hoped, even though they were wrong, that actually the team they had would turn out to be bait. And it could be a bunch of not that famous Ukrainians, but even be good and be in majors and sort of min-max. And by the way, the reason, in my opinion, why you min-max is because you're waiting to sell. You're waiting for someone else to buy it or merge with you and keep the name Fnatic or whatever. So here's the thing. I do feel like it will happen eventually. It's just, I think September 1st seems a bit closer. I think I would err on the side of no. I'll also throw it out there, not that this really matters. Sam Matthews himself, the founder of Fnatic, has sort of claimed this is false and they're not going to sign him to a football team and it's not true and it's exaggerated. But my problem is, like I said, the Sky News one. I don't think Sky News, that's not fucking those random CS Leaks Twitter accounts. They're not just putting random shit on their website. Remember, they could even get sued. I feel if they say it, that does mean Fnatic themselves were probably trying to make this happen last year, and also deals take a while, so I could even see the timeline would be about right for it to be sort of around now, right? So I'm going to err on the side of no, though, but I actually think this is a really tough one. I think, again, do your own research, go with your gut instinct if you want, but I think the chance at 54%, I'm slightly disagreeing with that, but I also think it's quite a reasonable market in that regard. Okay, there's one more thing to do, gentlemen. Because as I said before, we've done all the hot takes, we've done all the fans, but as I said before, going forwards, every episode of Hot Take Point Made will have its own Q&A section. So about it, if you enjoy it when you sign up for the LFM Premium, why not pick Hot Take Point Made as your favourite show? It will pay us and encourage us to do it more. This one will be for free, though. You'll just get to enjoy this one as is. So the questions for this one I sourced from a tweet that Kassad did, and I will just ask you the questions and say who said each one of them again. So here is a good one for you to start with, because it sort of touches on something we talked about before. Joseph Starvin says, do Vitality kick on and go again, or is the decline about to start? Now, just to explain, when he says kick on, he doesn't mean kick a player. That's just an English idiom for get on with it. You know, like, do you keep going and then things continue? Or, and in this case, he means keep winning and being good. Like, you just sort of get back to winning ways, he means. Or is there a decline now? Are they actually going to dip and go off the bottom? What do you think? What's your sense? This isn't a hot take, remember. It's a question.
Yeah, I know. You want me to take it?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure.
The thing is, they definitely kick on right now. They don't change anything. There is no reason to panic right now. And why would it be? It's not like they lost to a Legacy or something, in a best of 3 and they got demolished, or they were declining for several months, and this was the tipping point of them, losing in the quarterfinals of a major. So they have to reevaluate what keeps them, what kind of move will keep them as a top 1. I don't think they are at that position yet, so should they kick on, as he said, they should definitely, and start playing the way they tried, they played the last 3 seasons. Well, the one little failure is not going to be enough to shake them enough to make a player change. However, the second part of that question says that is the form going to decline. That's a possibility, because there are several factors. Even the one that Maui mentioned of, their anchor m0NESY being father of 2 kids now. It's a valid point in a sense, right? I'm not saying, but also things like the other players, they can drop their form. Flames was unbelievable. As that an opener, as that an aggressive
absolutely.
player. He was unbelievable. What if he drops by 5, 10, 15%? And we don't have to exclude and kind of not mention drops and Apex in that case, right? They can also drop off. Why not? They can also lose games to Spirit, and a couple of events to Spirit, couple of events to Falcons, maybe one event to Navi or something, somebody play out of their mind, and then you have a failed season. And then the form drops, and then the worm of doubt comes in, and then maybe you start thinking about Bit instead of m0NESY or something like that. So 50% right, 50% wrong on that guy. I mean, when it comes to not right or wrong, but I agree and don't agree in some way, but that's the answer.
Yeah, I think that Vitality is still going to be one of the elite teams for me, but I think the era of dominance is definitely over. I mean, you're not going to see the map win streak or the tournament win streak, or what was it, series win streak. Actually, it wasn't really what was their
they had another series win streak as well.
Yeah, the series win streaks. I think you're going to see a lot less of those now. I think that's also due in part to the fact that the scene is leveled up. I do concur that when Vitality were having their era, and one of the ways I would poke a hole in it for being the greatest team of all time is I just think that the level of opposition was a little bit weaker than you would have hoped if you're actually Vitality. I actually think that they would have wanted to have better teams against them, but now they've got it. But unfortunately, they're not at their 100%. They're not breaking through every defense with some crazy entry 2K from a player you don't expect in that moment. You're getting more just, I'd say, average performances from the individuals. I think that Flamesy was just he was going supernova earlier this year too. I don't think that I think that's done. I think he'll still be great. I think he's still going to be a top 3 entry fragger for the year, but he was legit. It felt like at one point he was legitimately contesting with Donk for who's the best entry fragger after, not winning the award when the rest of his team did, or all of their superlatives at the previous award season. But I mean, I would, if you had to ask me a number for how many trophies they're going to win this season, I'd probably put it at 3 at best.
Okay, well, what's funny is even though you said it in a different way that I disagree with, at the end, I actually also, when I was thinking of the number in my brain, I thought 2 or 3 is about the right amount. Because I just expect this to be quite a competitive season. With that said, though, I do think they'll still be the number 1 team. I just don't think this will be like another era. I think this will be like, I actually think it'll be better than last season of 2025, where like they would make the semis, but they would sometimes lose all the close games. I think they'll be really good again. Like, I actually think, here's what's weird. Look, I do think people massively have overblown the major result. You can question the one where they skipped practice and they didn't do it for Atlanta. Even then, by the way, it was still an all right performance. They could have won both those series. The problem I have is this. People are forgetting. It's just because in your brain, you didn't see them in the semis and the final and you saw them go out 5th to 8th. They lost to the team that won the tournament in a single limb. Like, for all I know, and this is what I believe if you think Falcons was the best team at the tournament, they were the second best team. I genuinely believe if they win that Dust 2, that they just win that fucking whole tournament. By the way, they also could have won almost all the maps against Falcons too. I think they just win the tournament. I think they beat Spirit and I think they destroy FURIA in the final. And the joke is, they'd have almost played the same way, but we'd be having a totally different conversation about, like, actually, it's like, last year, are they going to be the best team? It'd be that whole discussion again. So I think people have, and then lastly, ZywOo didn't just play bad. He played unusually bad in that series. Like, listen, I joke about him being bad in fact. No, he just has moments in finals that weren't good. He had the odd final that wasn't good. Instead, generally, he's got some of the best numbers ever for major playoffs. And normally, at a minimum, I can expect like a 1.2 rating from ZywOo. So if people don't know, I think he was like a 0.97 rating or something absurd like that. And it was still insanely close that they lost the series. So if ZywOo turns up normal, he almost certainly will. It's like this fucking sunrise, and you can guarantee it's going to happen. It's going to, what do you want on that?
It was that the bad maps were bad for him. The bad maps, he just went completely missing. I mean, that was usually, even when ZywOo has a bad start in a game, he'll round 7, he gets a triple kill, and then suddenly he's just activated again. He's getting 1 to 2 kills like every round after that, and that just, those kind of moments, that spark never really came about in the series against Falcons. I mean, I guess it did on Inferno, but not on the two maps that they lost.
And then the other thing is as well, I know this will sound like cope, but I'm being serious. One of the things I kept saying during the dominant periods of the first 2 seasons of last year and this year is one of the things I'm so impressed with about Apex and X-Stars too, is that they're able to keep the team hungry even when they're already winning and beating everyone. Like, that's so alien in Counter-Strike and sports, and people don't know. The most human thing ever is when you win it easily, you stop trying as much, or you think it's easy, or you don't level up what you're doing, or you don't attack your problems before they're proven that they make you lose. I actually think, in a weird way, look, it's bad for Vitality because he needed to win the major, but I think they are going to be way hungrier now than if they'd won the major in the second season. Like, I think the fact that there are all these teams that have leveled up, that you've got people like Falcons who are actually relevant, and all these other teams seem like they're primed to beat Vitality, I think that is going to make them go so fucking hard, and that people like Apex, it's the opposite. They're not like, oh, I'm so burned out and I lost. They're like, actually, they're fucking licking their lips. Like, let's get back to work, boys. Like, I'll give you an obvious point to make my point for you. Guys, it was only a few months ago, right? As of today, we are recording this on the 14th of July. Boys, on the 1st of April, they did that hilarious April Fool's joke, where the joke was that they were going to take a few months off or something because they had to let other people win. That was only a couple of months ago. That's how extremely different CS was as this landscape back then. That as a joke, it worked, that they could almost joke like we almost can't lose tournaments. Now, I think they are going to be mad activists. So I think they kick on and continue being the best team, in my opinion. I just hope it's really competitive. If my dream would be, you have that thing where Team A wins a tournament, Team B wins a tournament, Team C, Team A wins the next one. You have it like you go back and forth. That's the dream, I think. Some Federer, Nadal, Djokovic shit in their primes where they're all winning. That's what you want. That's what we can have in the second season, which actually, like my comment about the Austin Major, we've had some weak seasons. This shouldn't be one. In fact, if anything, you could even argue, Maui, that's why they should be super hungry. Because if you dominate this season, people will see you the greatest team of all time. You can actually argue that this could be the one that seals it for you if you play. Because remember, before we can all go, well, Donk didn't have a good enough team, well, m0NESY didn't have the IGL. Those excuses don't exist. Now you have to just take the wins or losses, whether you get them or not. Right, let's do another question. What about this? Right, this is going to sound weird, so we'll do it as a team. Nom Tom says, what's the best possible team to create from players who aren't top 5 in their role? So we're going to make a team collectively, but the player can't be top 5 as well. So he's sort of asking us to go a bit deeper on our eye test and what we know about the scene here. So let's make a team collectively, and we'll just do a democracy system. 2 out of 3 makes it win. So IGL, right? let's just say who are our top 5 IGLs, then we can figure it out. We can get to the 6th guy. Who's our top 5 IGL? Apex, I'm assuming, is in there, yeah? We're saying Apex.
Kerrigan, Fallen, Alexi B. I don't know who the 5th is off the top of my head.
Do you agree with all those, Kassad? Apex, Kerrigan, Fallen, Alexi B?
I mean, I guess, as long
what about
as
the 5th? Who should put as the 5th?
Boomage.
Who would put as the 5th?
Well, that means we can include a lot of people.
Krabeni,
be our... Oh, Krabeni.
Krabeni. Let me think. By the way, I have to say it gets rough after the top 4, though, because I'm looking at everyone. Hunter, no. Magic, no. Like, I'm going down on boys. Like, who am I taking it?
Well, then we could just pick an IGL, and they're probably not the top 5. Then.
Yeah, that's fair. That's I tell you what.
In theory.
Yeah, you're right. All right, let's just make it those 4 because it's debatable. So who are we picking as IGL? By the way, the IGL could be somebody like Krabeni. Who do we want as IGL here? Are we going Krabeni? Are we going Exertion? Are we going Hunter? Are we going...
I might get Exertion.
Kicksan? Oh, Kicksan might be in the top 5. Would we put him there?
Okay, sure. I would take Kicksan probably. Yeah.
Because Kicksan's not a bad one.
If you agree.
Who do you want?
I would take Krabeni over Kicksan any day.
You know what? Fuck it. I'll go with you because we'll take Krabeni as our IGL. And by the way, it's a fun one too because he's a fragging IGL in it, so it'll make it an interesting team. So we'll take Krabeni IGL. Right. Let's just do all the. Let's do AWPer. Let's get the AWPer out of the way. Yeah. Who are the top 5 AWPers?
We have like ZywOo, we have m0NESY, we have Shiro, we have molodoy, and then the 5th one will be Wonderful.
Yeah,
I think that's the easiest one. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. That's very fair.
Oh,
so who's left?
Torj.
We've got Torji, we've got Woxic, we've got
Torji. There is nobody else for me. I think
Torji, Woxic.
Oh, he's been kind of weak lately, though.
Pick a better one then.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean,
by the way, you know what I'm realizing when we have this conversation?
9-10.
The 2 weakest roles in the game are IGL and AWPer, aren't they? Like, holy shit. We can barely get our top 5 points. You know, 9-10's not a bad one, actually. It's not a bad one.
9-10's been better than Torzy this year, for sure.
I might do that too. You against it?
Oh, my.
You against it?
Majority.
No, I'm with him. And we've got Krabeni. We're playing a loose style, tight pack. Yeah, we've got Krabeni, 9-10. Okay. Right, now let's do... What we do, Lurker?
Well, we can do the anchor, like the hard anchor. Let's do the opener that's left, like opener, soft anchor, hard anchor.
Okay.
It's easier.
To you, soft anchor is basically like support, yeah.
It's like, yeah, same like Magix.
Yes, okay.
Semi-rotator,
like
but also...
previously in
right, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
like
so if we're doing opener, let's just get that out of the way. So no Kyosuke,
no donk,
no donk,
no flames,
no flamesy. I would say no Makaze personally. I would say
he's not an opener, right?
Isn't he? Opener? Is he?
I don't know. I would say
what else would he?
Maybe.
No, I think he would be on HLTV if they did opener of the year. I think he would be in the mix for that. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's the 5th one then? Who's the 5th for that?
Is it Nico? Yeah, but Nico's kind of Nico's kind of a cheat because he doesn't play the role right now.
How can they both be in that spot? Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, by the way, we could cheat and just put Nico there. Yeah, fuck it. There you go. Since Kyosuke is their opener, we're going to cheat and put Nico there because I think that's a good one. Listen, any GM needs to find angles, boys. Also, we've got the most ridiculous team of all time so far. We've got Krabeni, 9-10, and Nico. Like, I don't. Anyway, whatever. Right now, we're doing soft anchor. No, we're doing hard anchor and soft anchor. So hard anchor is going to be who? And this is also
hard
this
anchor.
One, right?
A hard anchor is like we have who right now.
By the way,
we have Bit, m0NESY.
Okay.
Does Robs count, or is he a soft?
How do you decide that? Which one? You're putting him as a soft one. Okay.
Soft anchor, yeah, for you. Okay.
m0NESY, and then Heavy God.
Heavy God.
Oh, he's in the top 5. Yeah. But we're doing the top 5 right now. So we're doing m0NESY, Heavy God, Bit. Do we need 2 more?
I don't want to put the Zontix in it. I don't know. Really. I can't put him in it.
No, literally, Tessus has been better than Zontix lately.
Yeah, Tessus, absolutely nice one. That's a good call.
What about Yuri? Yuri, maybe?
I guess. Yeah. I mean,
that's for the top 5. So who are we taking to actually put in the team then? Then out the way, who are we taking if we are doing that then? Because you say you don't want Zontix, but who's available now? There's only so many people here, right? So
it almost has to be Zontix.
It has to be sorted, doesn't it? Who else can it be?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, Yimpat or Zontix.
Where does which role do you put Spinks in, Kassad?
In soft tank.
All right, okay.
Well, I would take Yimpat for this one.
Because the problem is, I will say Impact does play all the bad roles, so it's a pretty good one for that one. Do you want to take Impact?
I mean, should we put Frozen as but he's not a hard anchor.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's hard to actually define that one. I think Impact's not bad. One. I think Impact's not a bad one. Right, okay, so now we just need the soft one. So who are the best soft actors? So Spinks must be one, right? Is he? Top
Rob,
5?
Spinks.
Rob, Spinks. Who else?
Frozen. Those are 3.
Is Kassad on this?
Kassad, number 4.
Kassad.
Not m0NESY is more of an entry. Yeah, we said that. Who would be the 5th one? He said Spinks already.
Would Jugs count for this? Is he more hard anchor?
I don't think I would put Jugs in my top 5. So then.
Yeah, but who are you putting instead?
Tanir maybe.
Okay, that's not bad.
Oh, that's a fair one. That's not bad.
Tanir would be probably my 5th. Yeah.
Okay, and then who do we have left?
Then you would have
that's people
Jugs.
like Jugs, etc. Isn't it? There's not many.
Yeah.
Twists. EliGE. I don't know. Not EliGE. Twists.
Twist isn't bad.
Twist is. Yeah, I would probably take Twist. Why not?
There is nobody. It's so hard.
By the way, I will say we have got a pretty decent team. We've got Krabeni, 910, Nico, Yimfat, Twist. That's not a bad squad considering we couldn't work with any top 5 players. It's got some potential there. I could trick BC Game and assign
guys
all
that
those
are
players.
not top 5 in roll. Yeah.
Yeah, I
could. We also get Senzu. We forgot about Senzu.
Oh yeah, true.
m0NESY and stuff, but Senzu would be what an open.
Oh, then my opera is simple. Obviously, what the hell.
You could also do that, to be fair.
Oh, yeah, fuck.
You want to do simple instead?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's put it
By the way, I like the way we have ended up with a roster that has, like, fucking simple Nico and Twists in it, boys. Like, listen, it's true. Those are outside the top 5, but we have also cheated the shit out of the loopholes on this one. Like, we've got a Hall of Fame roster. Okay, fair enough. Right, let's do another one. We'll do a couple more, and then we'll wrap the show, boys. So,
all right.
What about, let's see. Let me see. All right, here's a question. I actually realized, I don't know if did I actually say the names for all the people? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay,
yes,
so here we go. So Queen Neo C says, what is the ceiling of the JT and EliGE duo? Because obviously JT's joining Liquid. He's going to reunite with EliGE. What do you think the ceiling of that duo is?
Top 10? I don't know. It also depends on... I think people are... I mean, I do agree that JT is all right. Like, he's not bad at all. But I think maybe...
I mean, they just got that AWPer. They're getting that Finnish AWPer, apparently Jorko.
He's Bulgarian.
Promising... Oh, Bulgarian, whatever, yeah, sure.
The thing is, like, I don't think the rest of the team can follow up whatever they do, right? Unless it's a fucking, next molodoy.
Well, he's just saying that duo.
Yeah, but the duo is like, what can they do? Like, do they even agree on how they need to play? Like, didn't they play together in
Complexity?
In Complexity? And what did they accomplish as a duo then?
They were pretty good considering the other players you couldn't even probably name.
They were good in Sydney. First event in CS2, like when they were like...
They did beat Na'Vi after they won the major. They did beat Na'Vi right after they won the major. That is true.
Yeah, but what after that? Like,
they had no players. The lineup that lineup can barely win a Philadelphia, mate. I thought it was an all right squad.
Yeah, but still, like,
because of them,
the rest of the rest of the players of Liquid right now next to those two.
I mean, I think what you said earlier is reasonable. I think top 10. I think if they became the 10th best team, I think JT did his job. He doesn't have a crazy one. He has an all right one. And I actually think that's plausible too. I actually do think he'll make EliGE better and he'll figure out the system. I also think, even though you're saying, will they get along? I think they're going to get along really well. If you don't know the JT guy, actually, I think he's one of the rare IGLs who could IGL EliGE because he simultaneously does have ideas, but he seems like a very reasonable person with how he communicates. I think that's actually the secret sauce, Like, the problem is, I think most people who have, like, strong ideas would just get in an argument with EliGE or you wouldn't like their vibe, So I personally am quite optimistic.
I am just afraid that the disease that Liquid is will kind of infect those two as well. The disease in the culture right now that's eating them from the inside for 3 years is going to affect those things. Like, unless again the Yorko is next molodoy or something, and he's just going to carry them through the thing, and they're going to blow up. But yeah, top 10 in this, and that's very generous. That's like, fucking highest possible ceiling that I can find.
All right, here's what we'll do. Yeah, go on.
That's a fair.
Maury.
I mean, I would just say that's a fair ceiling. I mean, the highest that the Complexity roster got in the past with both of them was actually they got 5th in the world for a brief week.
Yeah.
The scene was, yeah, the scene was a little bit weird back then, but they were like kind of hovering in that range. I think the scene is so much stronger now though than it was in 2023, because like the 7th best team at that time when they were 5th in the world was Monty with SDY, Waro2K, and Krasnow. Like that's not really a top 7. You look back at that time and you think this was a very weak era. So I think nowadays, yeah, top 10 is reasonable, because I was thinking, okay, who could a JT EliGE duo legitimately be better than that's in the top 6? Then I went to 7, then I went to 8, and I kind of had to keep going down, and I think that I might even say lower. I might even go top 12 is really the ceiling of that kind of team. So yeah, it's not super high, but they could make a couple S tier playoffs. They'll probably get first rounded, but they could do it.
Right, that will be it for this episode. In the future, if you'd like to see the Q&A section or suggest your own hot takes, subscribe to LFN Premium, go to lastfreenation.com. I told you all the information before, because this will be behind a paywall, this section. There'll still be hot take point made, don't worry about that. There'll be the normal show, but this part will be behind a paywall. We'll see you on the next one.